Good morning, folks. This is Deb. I I had an epiphany this morning, and that's why we have a video. So let's talk because I've been watching all of the streaming news shows and stuff, and the message is the same everywhere. Okay, yeah, Donald Trump is unhinged, and he cannot handle Kamala Harris, and the Republican Party just needs to keep him talking about policy and keep him on point. Well, let's talk about that because nobody in the news media is willing to say that the Republican Party's policies suck. Nobody's willing to say that the Republican Party's policies are Project 2025, but that's what they are. And in some Republican states, Project 2025 is already being enacted. Okay? Texas, Florida, books being banned, women losing reproductive rights, having to travel to other states to take care of their health care, to get an abortion. All of this tracks. All of this is Project 2025. Let's talk about the Republican Party, because this is the center of the problem, is the Republican Party. This is not the party your grandfather remembers, okay? The Republican Party is not being run by the people who are former Republicans flocking to Kamala Harris. The Republican Party is being run by a criminal. The top of the ticket, again, let's talk about him to start, is an adjudicated rapist, a grifter, a defrauder, a defamer, and a 34-time convicted felon who stole government documents and awaits trial on that. He also awaits trial in Georgia. That is the Republican Party. And he has brought in more scum. So let's talk about what possible policy this guy could stay on. Let's talk about all of this real quick, because we don't need to spend time on it. Let's talk about J.D. Vance, Shady Vance, as we like to call him here. Let's talk about his vision for women, because the Republican Party benefits no women in America. None. Okay, now there are some delusional women on the right who do truly believe they are second-class citizens. We're not talking about them. That's not the majority of women. J.D. Vance's vision for women of childbearing years is you have children. If you don't have children, you are not only less of a woman, but less of a citizen. You should have fewer rights and fewer benefits. If you are a woman postmenopausal, you've already raised your children. You don't get to buy a little house on the lake, honey, so we can enjoy our twilight years. No, sir. Your job is to help your children raise their children. That's your job. So for women in America, unless your life is centered around children, you don't count. That's essentially the message, no matter how you want to cut this. Let's talk about yesterday's announcement that Corey Lewandowski has been brought back as Donald Trump's senior advisor because his campaign is flailing. Let's talk about Corey Lewandowski, a man who has himself credible accusations of sexual assault and sexual harassment by 19 women, a man banned from his own super PAC because one of its main donors accused him of unwanted sexual advances. A man who has been conducting a years-long affair with the puppy killer from South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem. Another scumbag back in the fold. Okay? And then headlines from yesterday, they crack me up. These headlines crack me up. And I love the Bulwark. I actually subscribe to the Bulwark. Okay? How did Republicans let this guy become their Senate candidate? Well, how did the Republicans let Donald Trump take over their party? They basically handed it to him. So we're going to talk about Royce White now. If you thought Mehmet Oz and Herschel Walker were bad, where do you get a load of this guy? This guy just won the Republican primary for the Senate seat in Minnesota, and he has been endorsed by the Minnesota Republican Party. So let's talk about this guy's low-life character. He has regularly used social media to attack lawmakers and celebrities using the terms CUNT and whore. Now, I only spelled CUNT because I have been flagged by algorithms for using that word. He speculates openly about how the problem is the Jews. So he's an anti-Semite on top of everything else. He has twice been found in contempt of court for unpayment of child support. And it has been stated that he could be in prison by the time the election rolls around. Well, that tracks. Okay, I'm sorry, but why should we even flinch at that? And he has spent his official campaign money from 2022, where he lost, trying to defeat Ilhan Omar. He has spent that money on strip clubs and indoor water parks. Now, the Republican Party is full of people like this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, who's not only got a criminal record, but so does her ex-husband and her son. We had Chip Roy sit in for Steve Bannon's show last week, a sitting congressman, sitting in for a guy who is a traitor, who openly tried to overturn the election. So when we talk about keeping Donald Trump on topic and on policy, what's he going to talk about? His policies are Project 2025. What has Donald Trump ever done for the American people? Name me something. I'm willing to listen. Name a policy that Donald Trump has instituted that has benefited any American people. Besides the billionaires, his policies are tax cuts for billionaires. They now want to make that permanent. The man who added $7 trillion to the deficit and saddled every American with a $23,000 bill for that tax cut. What topics are he going to stay on? I'm mystified by all of this. Let's get something straight here. The Republican Party has nothing to offer the American people. The Republican Party is in league with the Heritage Foundation. Their policies are based in Project 2025. 140 people associated with Donald Trump helped to construct that document. And you don't construct that kind of document unless you intend to use it. We have until November. And Kamala Harris is 100% correct when she calls us the underdogs. We need to keep pushing. And we need to keep pushing just exactly who Donald Trump is. If the news media can't do it, some do. I'm not gonna, put everybody in the same bucket. But clearly, the mainstream media is having a very difficult time fessing up to exactly what Donald Trump is. So we must not fail. We must continue to push the vote. 70% or bust for Harris-Walz. That's what we're looking at. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be 90%, but I don't want to freak everybody out. 70% for Harris-Walz, and we bury the Republican Party, and that's exactly what we need to do. I'll talk to you all later.